The door is a powerful symbol. It stands between what is familiar and what is possible, between comfort and calling, between fear and the future. When people imagine Elon Musk saying "Open the door, I'm here," they are not just imagining a man knocking on wood and metal. They are hearing an idea, a challenge, a presence that refuses to be ignored. It is not about fame walking into your life. It is about potential demanding to be let in. Elon Musk has always represented disruption. Not the loud, chaotic kind, but the quiet, persistent pressure that builds until the old way can no longer hold. He didn't arrive in the world of technology, energy, or space as someone who fit neatly into what already existed. He arrived as someone who questioned why doors were closed in the first place. Why should space belong only to governments? Why should electric cars be slow and boring? Why should the internet be small, limited, or controlled by a few? Each of those questions was a knock. Each knock waited for someone to open the door. When you hear "open the door," it isn't a demand made with arrogance. It's an invitation mixed with urgency. Life has a way of knocking softly at first. An idea comes to you late at night. A curiosity you can't shake appears when you least expect it. A dissatisfaction grows with the way things are. Many people ignore these knocks. They tell themselves it's not the right time, that they're not ready, that someone else will answer. But the people who change their lives, and sometimes the world, are the ones who pause, listen, and decide to turn the handle. Elon Musk's journey did not begin with certainty. It began with discomfort. As a child, he was often misunderstood, isolated, more comfortable with books and ideas than with crowds. That loneliness was not glamorous. It was painful. But it became a room where imagination could grow without limits. Instead of closing himself off, he opened a door inward, into learning, into science fiction, into questions about humanity's future. That inner door led him outward, step by step, into ventures that many thought were impossible or foolish. "Open the door, I'm here" can also be heard as the voice of the future itself. The future does not wait politely forever. It arrives whether we are ready or not. Technology advances. Problems escalate. Opportunities pass. The future knocks, and if we do not open, it finds another entrance, another person, another place. Elon Musk's life shows what happens when someone decides not to hide from that knock. He opened doors that led to failure, criticism, and near collapse. Rockets exploded. Companies bled money. Public opinion swung wildly between praise and mockery. Yet the door remained open, not because it was easy, but because closing it would have meant giving up on the vision beyond it. There is something deeply attractive about that kind of persistence. Not because it looks heroic from the outside, but because it is honest. It admits fear and moves anyway. It acknowledges risk and chooses action. When people are drawn to figures like Musk, they are often drawn not to the wealth or the headlines, but to the permission such figures seem to give, permission to think bigger, to fail publicly, to care about problems that feel too large for one person. Imagine standing in a quiet room, your hand on a door you've been avoiding. On the other side is uncertainty. You don't know if you'll be welcomed or rejected, if you'll succeed or fall flat. The voice says, "I'm here." Not "I'll make this easy." Not "I guarantee success." Just "I'm here." Presence without promises. That is often how real change announces itself. Elon Musk's companies are, in many ways, doors. SpaceX opened a door to a future where humanity is not confined to one planet. Tesla opened a door to transportation that does not poison the air. Neuralink opens unsettling, fascinating doors into the human brain. These doors are controversial. People argue about whether they should be opened at all. That debate is important. But the knock itself cannot be denied. Something is trying to enter our collective story, asking whether we will engage with it thoughtfully or leave it to chance. On a personal level, the message becomes even more intimate. Open the door might be about a conversation you've been avoiding. A skill you keep telling yourself you're too old or too late to learn. A calling that doesn't fit neatly into what your family or society expects of you. When someone like Elon Musk speaks metaphorically into that space, it can feel like validation. Not because he knows your life, but because his path proves that unconventional doors can lead somewhere real. There is also a warning hidden in the message. Doors can close. Time passes. Energy fades. Courage, when unused, weakens. Many people live surrounded by unopened doors, telling themselves they'll get to them someday. Someday becomes never more easily than we like to admit. Hearing "I'm here" is a reminder that now is the moment of contact. Not tomorrow. Not after everything feels safe. Now, while the door is still warm from the knock, critics often say that Elon Musk is reckless, that he moves too fast, that he breaks things that shouldn't be broken. Sometimes they are right. Opening doors without care can cause damage. But there is also damage in never opening them at all. Stagnation has its own cost, one that is quieter but just as severe. The attraction of Musk's message lies in its refusal to accept stagnation as a virtue. Think about how many times in history progress came from someone opening a door others insisted remained shut. Flight, electricity, the internet, medicine. Each was once seen as dangerous, unrealistic, or unnecessary. Each began with a knock that frightened people. Someone opened anyway. That does not mean every door should be thrown open blindly, but it does mean fear alone is not a good enough reason to keep them closed. When you internalize "open the door, I'm here," it becomes less about Elon Musk and more about you. What is knocking in your life right now? Is it an idea that keeps returning? A restlessness that won't let you settle? A sense that you were meant for more than repetition and survival? Those are not accidents. They are signals. Ignoring them does not make them go away. It only makes them louder or more painful over time. There is also humility in opening a door. It means admitting you don't control everything on the other side. It means letting in change that may rearrange your life. Musk himself has had to live with consequences he could not fully predict: scrutiny, pressure, expectations that never sleep. Opening doors brings responsibility. That is part of why many people hesitate. Responsibility is heavier than regret in the short term, even if regret weighs more in the long run. The phrase "I'm here" is also comforting. It suggests you are not alone in the room with your fear. Whether you interpret that as an idea, an opportunity, a challenge, or inspiration drawn from someone else's story, it means there is something meeting you halfway. You do not have to invent courage from nothing. Sometimes courage comes from recognizing that the knock itself is proof you are capable of responding. Elon Musk did not wait to feel perfectly confident before acting. He moved while learning, adjusted while failing, and persisted while being doubted. That rhythm is attractive because it is human. It strips away the myth that great achievements come from flawless plans executed by flawless people. Instead, it shows doors opening and closing, mistakes being made, and lessons being paid for dearly. As you stand in front of your own door, it may help to remember that opening it does not lock you into a single outcome forever. Doors can be walked through, explored, and sometimes stepped back from. The real loss comes from never touching the handle at all. Hearing "open the door" is not a command to sacrifice everything blindly. It is a call to engage, to respond, to stop pretending that silence is safety. In the end, the message resonates because it respects your agency. The door is yours. The choice is yours. The knock can inspire, annoy, or terrify you, but it cannot force you. Elon Musk's story simply stands as evidence of what can happen when someone chooses to answer. Not perfection. Not certainty. But movement. Momentum. A life that feels aligned with something larger than comfort. So when you hear those words echoing in your mind, let them slow you down for a moment. Listen carefully. Ask yourself what you are protecting by keeping the door closed, and what you might be missing on the other side. The future, like any visitor worth meeting, does not stay forever. It knocks, waits, and eventually moves on. Whether you open the door is what turns a knock into a turning point. The knock does not always come when life is quiet. Often it arrives in the middle of chaos, when responsibilities are heavy and clarity feels distant. That is why many people miss it. They are waiting for the perfect moment, a clean room, a calm mind. But history, and lives like Elon Musk's, show that the door usually matters most when opening it feels inconvenient or even impossible. There were moments when Musk himself could have closed every door and walked away. When money was gone, when rockets failed repeatedly, when critics laughed openly and investors lost faith, the easier path would have been to retreat into safety. Few people would have blamed him. Yet he stayed with the door open. Even when it meant standing in the cold uncertainty of what if this all collapses. That willingness to remain present, to not shut down when pressure mounts, is what separates fleeting inspiration from lasting impact. Open the door, I'm here can also be understood as a test of honesty. If you truly believe in something, will you face it directly, or will you keep it at arm's length, admiring it from a distance? Many people love the idea of change, innovation, and success, but only as spectators. They enjoy watching others take risks while they themselves remain untouched. The door challenges that comfort. It asks you to stop watching and start participating. There is an attraction in proximity. When something is right outside your door, it feels personal. You can no longer say it belongs to someone else's life. Elon Musk's presence in culture works this way. Whether you admire him or criticize him, he makes the future feel close, almost uncomfortably so. Space travel is no longer a distant sci-fi dream. Artificial intelligence is no longer abstract. Energy transformation is no longer optional. These things are here, knocking, demanding response. On a deeper level, the door represents identity. Opening it may require you to let go of who you thought you were. Musk did not stay within the identity of a successful early internet entrepreneur. He could have lived comfortably on that chapter alone. Instead, he risked being seen as foolish, obsessive, even dangerous, by stepping into entirely new roles. Each door he opened required the death of a previous version of himself. That is often the hardest part for anyone. People resist opening doors not because they don't want what's on the other side, but because they don't want to disappoint the version of themselves that others have grown comfortable with. The reliable one. The predictable one. The one who doesn't surprise anyone. But growth almost always involves disappointment before admiration. Elon Musk endured years of being misunderstood before being celebrated, and even now, admiration and criticism walk side by side. The message continues to echo because it speaks to timing. I'm here is present tense. Not I'll come back later. Not maybe someday. It implies urgency without panic. The kind of urgency that says, if you wait too long, you may still survive, but you will not arrive where you were meant to go. Life rarely announces final chances clearly. It simply stops knocking. There is also vulnerability in the statement. To say I'm here is to expose oneself to rejection. The door might stay closed. The lights might be turned off. That vulnerability is often overlooked when we talk about powerful figures. Yet every bold move contains that risk. Musk's ideas could have been ignored completely. His companies could have failed quietly. Opening the door goes both ways. It exposes the one knocking as much as the one inside. When you translate this into your own life, it becomes a mirror. Are you willing to be seen? Are you willing to knock on doors yourself, knowing they might not open? Or are you waiting for guaranteed acceptance before you move? Attraction to bold figures often hides a personal longing to be bold in smaller, quieter ways. Ways that don't make headlines but still require courage. The door also symbolizes trust. Opening it means trusting yourself to handle what comes next. Not to control it perfectly, but to respond, adapt, and learn. Elon Musk trusted that even if he didn't have all the answers, he could figure them out along the way. That kind of trust is rare, and it is magnetic. It suggests a relationship with uncertainty that is not hostile, but curious. As the knock continues, it becomes harder to ignore. You may try to drown it out with routines, distractions, or other people's expectations. But deep down, you know when something is meant for you. It carries a weight that ordinary noise does not. The attraction of this message lies in its refusal to let you pretend you don't hear it, and so the moment stretches. Hand on the handle. Breath held. Not knowing exactly what will change once the door opens, only knowing that keeping it closed is no longer neutral. It is a choice with consequences. Elon Musk's story does not promise ease on the other side of the door. It promises engagement, struggle, and meaning. For many, that is far more attractive than comfort without purpose. The knock is still there. Quiet or loud, gentle or insistent. It waits, patient but not endless. And whether it comes through the voice of a public figure, a sudden idea, or a persistent inner pull, it carries the same simple message: something is here for you. What happens next depends on whether you choose to open. Eventually there comes a point where silence is no longer an option. The knock has been heard too many times. Ignoring it begins to feel heavier than answering it. This is the quiet turning point that most people never talk about. The moment when you realize that doing nothing is also a decision, and often the most limiting one of all. Elon Musk's life reflects this moment again and again. There were crossroads where retreat would have preserved comfort, reputation, and peace. Staying safe would have been understandable. Yet safety was never the goal. Purpose was. And purpose has a way of making restlessness unbearable until action becomes the only relief. That is when the door finally opens, not because fear disappears, but because staying closed hurts more than stepping forward. When the door opens, the world does not suddenly become kind. Reality rushes in. Doubt follows closely behind. Critics speak louder. Responsibility multiplies. Musk discovered that opening doors invites not just opportunity, but constant pressure. Expectations grow. Every misstep is watched. Every success is questioned. This is the part of the story that is often left out, yet it is essential. Opening the door is not an ending. It is an exposure, but something else enters too: alignment. A sense that even when things are difficult, they are at least honest. You are no longer betraying your own potential. You are no longer negotiating with your conscience. There is relief in that, even when the path is hard. Elon Musk's intensity, which many find attractive or unsettling, comes from this alignment. When someone is fully committed to a vision, their energy changes. They become impossible to ignore. The phrase "I'm here" takes on a new meaning once the door is open. It becomes companionship. You are no longer alone with your fear. You are in dialogue with the challenge itself. Problems become conversations instead of threats. Failures become feedback instead of verdicts. Musk's repeated ability to recover from near disaster came not from invincibility, but from engagement. He stayed in the room with the problem long enough to understand it. For you, the open door may not lead to rockets, companies, or global attention. It may lead to a quieter but equally significant transformation. A life lived with intention instead of habit. A choice made because it matters, not because it is expected. The attraction of this message lies in its universality. It does not require genius or fame. It requires honesty and courage. There is also a closing truth hidden within opening the door: not everyone will follow you through it. Some will stay behind. Some will criticize from a distance. Some will misunderstand why you left the room you once shared. Musk has lived with this reality publicly, losing allies as often as he gains them. This is the cost of movement. Standing still keeps relationships stable. Moving forward reshapes them, yet the alternative is to remain in a familiar room, watching life happen through the cracks. Watching others answer their knocks while you tell yourself you'll do it someday. That quiet regret accumulates. It does not shout. It whispers, late at night, when distractions fade. The message "Open the door" is also an act of mercy, arriving before that regret hardens. As time moves forward, the knock fades into memory. It becomes part of your story, either as the moment you acted, or the moment you hesitated too long. Elon Musk's presence in the world is a reminder that history is shaped by those who respond, not those who wait for certainty. Certainty rarely comes before action. It usually comes after. In the end, the door does not change who you are. It reveals who you have been becoming all along. Opening it does not make you fearless, it makes you honest. Honest about what you want, what you're willing to risk, and what you refuse to settle for. That honesty is attractive because it is rare. The knock has done its part. The voice has announced itself. I'm here. Not to force you. Not to promise ease. Only to invite you into a fuller version of your own life. Whether inspired by Elon Musk's story or stirred by something deeply personal, the meaning is the same. The door is still in front of you.